On this edition for Sunday, August 16th, the Postal Service crisis, raising alarms ahead of the election. Democrats get ready for an unconventional convention. And in our signature segment, what one community in Maine is doing to combat one of the largest racial disparity rates of COVID-19 in the country. Next on PBS NewsHour Weekend.
PBS NewsHour Weekend is made possible by Sue and Edgar Wachenheim III, the Anderson Family Fund, Bernard and Denise Schwartz, the Cheryl and Philip Milstein family, the JPB Foundation, Barbara Hope Zuckerberg, Charles Rosenblum. We try to live in the moment to not miss what's right in front of us. At Mutual of America, we believe taking care of tomorrow can help you make the most of today. Mutual of America Financial Group, retirement services and investments.
For 25 years, Consumer Cellular has been offering no-contract wireless plans designed to help people do more of what they like. Our U.S.-based customer service team can help find a plan that fits you. To learn more, visit consumercellular.tv.
Additional support has been provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. The Trump administration continued to criticize and question the capabilities of the U.S. Postal Service today as states prepare for a massive increase in mail-in balloting this fall during the continuing coronavirus pandemic. The Postmaster General, a major donor and ally of the president, is cutting the USPS budget, and there are calls for him to resign. The House of Representatives scheduled an emergency committee hearing for August 24th while the full House is on recess. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi today said in a statement that House Democrats are ramping up their ongoing investigation on mail delays and concerns about potential White House interference in the U.S. Postal Service. They requested that Postmaster General Louis DeJoy and Chairman of the USPS Board of Governors Robert Duncan testify. Many states are planning mail-in balloting for the presidential election. The recently appointed Postmaster General Louis DeJoy is under fire for cost-cutting measures such as reducing overtime pay. There were also multiple news reports last week that the Postal Service is decommissioning hundreds of mail sorting machines. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders called on the Postmaster General to resign.
This is a deliberate effort to defund and destroy the U.S. Postal Service so that people cannot engage in mail-in ballots.
Yesterday, President Trump expressed confidence in DeJoy and said he would support separate additional funding for the post office, but not the $25 billion Democrats included in their coronavirus stimulus package passed in May.
You're going to do these millions of ballots out of nowhere. He's going to obviously need funding. But the Democrats aren't willing to provide other things, and therefore they're not going to get the funding for that.
This morning, Chief of Staff Mark Meadows said the president would be willing to make a deal on Postal Service funding if paired with the stimulus programs the president wants.
If the Democrats feel like this is a big issue, and I talked to some of the more moderate Democrats and a few progressives as well, if this is a big deal, let's put it with a stimulus check to go to Americans. Let's put it with enhanced unemployment extension. Let's put it with small business reform in terms of the PPP and extending that. Let's get that. Will the president sign that? Yes, he'll sign that.
President Donald Trump's younger brother, Robert, died yesterday. Robert was 71 years old and was hospitalized in New York City. In a statement, the president said his brother died peacefully and was, quote, not just my brother, he was my best friend. Mr. Trump visited his brother at the hospital on Friday. Robert was the youngest of the president's siblings. The president's older brother, Fred, died in 1981, and he has two sisters. Robert remained close to the president and supported his run for office. In June, Robert Trump filed a lawsuit on behalf of the Trump family that unsuccessfully sought to stop publication of a tell-all book by the president's niece. Officials did not immediately release a cause of death. A week after a questionable election in Belarus, President Alexander Lukashenko is rejecting any possibility of a revote. At a speech in front of thousands of supporters, Lukashenko blamed Western powers for meddling in Belarus's sovereignty. Lukashenko, who has ruled as an authoritarian for more than 25 years, is under pressure from massive protests after last Sunday's vote. The official government tally had Lukashenko winning with 80% of the vote. Opposition leaders reject the result and allege widespread vote rigging. As Lukashenko was speaking, an opposition rally was getting underway about a mile and a half away in Minsk. It's the 9th straight day of anti-government protests. Since last Sunday, more than 7,000 people have been arrested, and many have alleged police torture as part of a week-long violent crackdown on protesters. In Thailand today, anti-government protesters gathered for one of the biggest demonstrations in years. The student-led movement is demanding new elections and a new constitution, and some protesters were calling for reform to Thailand's popular constitutional monarchy, an institution considered sacrosanct in the country. There has been a coup in Thailand roughly every 6 years on average since the absolute monarchy was toppled almost 90 years ago. Most recently, the army chief led a coup in 2014, overthrowing an elected government. He's now Thailand's prime minister. At today's protest, hundreds of police were present and a small group of counter-protesters. But the pro-democracy rally showed the movement has now expanded beyond college campuses. Almost a week after a devastating storm cut across the Midwest, some in the region are still suffering. Monday's rare derecho packed 100-mile-an-hour winds and created a line of hurricane-level damage from eastern Nebraska across Iowa and into parts of Illinois, Indiana, and western Ohio. The storm killed at least 4 people and left residents across Iowa homeless and without electricity. The storm also damaged an estimated 14 million acres of farmland in Iowa alone, causing billions in damages, just as farmers were getting ready to harvest. Iowa's governor has deployed a small contingent of National Guard members and said she will seek a federal disaster declaration by tomorrow. As of this morning, there are still tens of thousands of people without power, and there is growing frustration that help has not come faster. At an apartment complex in Cedar Rapids that was made uninhabitable by the storm, residents were not brought to shelters until yesterday.
This 5 days in, where in the world is our government helping us out? These people should have been in shelters on Monday night. We should be helping our most vulnerable first, and that's not what we're doing.
The Democratic National Convention formally gets underway tomorrow, but in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, there will be no physical convention in the traditional sense. It will be all virtual. There will be 2 hours of programming each night this week, a combination of pre-recorded and live video messages leading up to former Vice President Joe Biden accepting the nomination for president in a mostly empty ballroom in Delaware on Thursday. The convention will feature speakers ranging from Republican Governor John Kasich, who is supporting Biden, to Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who supported Bernie Sanders in the Democratic primary. Vice presidential pick Kamala Harris will speak on Wednesday, a night that will also feature former President Barack Obama and pop star Billie Eilish. For more on the schedule of events for the virtual Democratic National Convention, visit pbs.org/newshour. This month marks the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment, granting women the constitutional right to vote. The suffrage movement leading up to that historic decision helped inspire other movements for reform which continue on today, with the ongoing protests for Black Lives Matter, police reform, and LGBTQ rights. The 19th, a new nonprofit, nonpartisan digital newsroom and platform, dedicates itself to issues that continue to affect women's lives, from politics and policy to gender, healthcare, and the current coronavirus pandemic. I recently spoke with co-founder and publisher Amanda Zamora. One of the interesting storylines that several of your writers have picked up on in different threads in their own pieces is how this pandemic is affecting women specifically.
This is the story of this pandemic in so many ways. Women are being disproportionately impacted in virtually every arena, except perhaps for mortality rates. Women are at the front lines of healthcare. They're at the front lines of education. They make up the majority of low-wage jobs. Women are experiencing double-digit unemployment for the first time. We had made such tremendous gains in the workforce over the last half of the century, and women have seen those virtually evaporate overnight. Women have lost 11 million jobs in the first months of this pandemic, and experts say that 8% of those jobs, that's tens of thousands of women at work, are not coming back online. The other thing that we're seeing in the workforce and even in our own newsroom is that women are being forced to choose. Do they go back to work? Do they stay at work? or do they stay home and take care of their families, of their children? Women are still doing the outsized share of caregiving in their households, and they are being confronted with this impossible choice as schools are struggling to figure out how to reopen safely, as thousands of daycare facilities have shuttered across the country. Women are just in this impossible position of choosing between staying in the workforce or choosing their families.
And you've profiled different sort of tiers of women on the socioeconomic strata. So some who have, kind of achieved that dream of becoming in senior leadership positions. They've worked really hard, and here they are making that choice. And then at the same time, you've also highlighted how disproportionately it's affecting women of color who actually make much less per dollar compared to men.
Exactly. Low-wage workers whose jobs are the least secure. Some of them have come back online, but they're by no means either economically secure or from a health perspective secure. They're being more exposed to COVID risk. And by the way, when those jobs do come back online, they're not always at the same, wages. Those wages are decreasing. And so the cost of living, particularly if you're a low-wage worker and you have a family also to take care of and children to take care of, those expenses are rising while wages are being depressed. And it's just a real crisis of caregiving for women across the socioeconomic spectrum.
Another big topic that makes your site and your story so relevant right now as we approach the anniversary of the suffragette movement, here we have a Democratic VP nominee. But if people had been following some of your writers for a while, they would have seen this coming.
Yes, Senator Kamala Harris' pick is historic in many ways. She makes good on Biden's promise to have a woman as a vice presidential candidate. But you're right, Erin has been covering the Black electorate and Black women in the electorate for months and months since before the pandemic. Black voters propelled Biden's candidacy in the primary, and this pick makes good on his promise, but also rewards those Black voters and Black women in particular who have been the backbone of the Democratic Party. And yes, if you read Erin Haynes' reporting, you will see, that pick really, it is a pick of this moment in time as the country is grappling with an economic crisis, with a healthcare crisis, but also with this crisis of systemic racism, reconfronting so much of systemic racism and division in this country that Senator Harris's pick unites the party, but potentially they'll be looking to unite the country with a November election.
Amanda, I've also got to ask, in the middle of a pandemic, it doesn't seem like the greatest time to launch a whole new site. What's that been like?
It's been exhilarating, it's been challenging, but it's been so necessary for all of the stories that we've just been discussing here in a matter of moments. We are just getting started, and we are really looking forward to digging in and providing the kind of journalism that our readers are asking for. And yes, we're thrilled to be online, pandemic or no.
All right, Amanda Zamora of the 19th, congratulations for getting out the door, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
The state of Maine has one of the lowest infection rates of COVID-19 in the country, but it also has the highest racial disparity to the impacts on Black Mainers. Particularly vulnerable are Maine's Black immigrants who support the Pine Tree State's economy, but say they have been slow to receive much-needed state funding to combat the coronavirus. NewsHour Weekend special correspondent Kira Kay reports on how the pandemic is hitting these mostly African immigrants and what some of them are trying to do about it. This story is part of our ongoing series, Chasing the Dream: Poverty and Opportunity in America.
Music is once again filling the Bethel Church on the outskirts of Portland, Maine. It had been closed to worshipers for 3 months because of COVID-19, but has now reopened its doors, carefully. Everyone's temperature is taken on arrival and masks are mandatory. Only 50 worshipers are allowed in at a time.
The whole world has been completely shattered by the pandemic. And we also pray for those who have passed away because of this.
Congregant Clara Wimbabazi tells me she's been worried people might be sick or that she herself could be infected and pass it on. But she feels joy in her heart to be back. Bethel's congregation includes many political and humanitarian refugees from Central Africa. But in Maine, they are facing a new danger: very high COVID-19 infection rates. Claude Reganje is a congregant at Bethel and a local city councilman.
I know many families that everybody in the house, every single household member got COVID. So it's not a story that we hear from far away. We lived it.
COVID-19 rates in Maine are low, less than 0.5% of its population, 1/5 the national average. Still, the state has remained vigilant as it reopens and even welcomes a limited number of summer tourists. But when you look at Maine's Black community, it's a starkly different reality. Maine has the largest racial disparity of COVID-19 infection rates in the country. While Black Mainers are 1.4% of the population, they make up at least 22% of the positive cases. This means 1 in 20 have had COVID. And while Maine doesn't break out how many are immigrants, they make up almost half the Black demographic, the largest proportion in the country. These immigrants are all informally referred to as new Mainers.
Initially, in 2001, the largest influx of new Mainers were from Somalia. Muslim, Black, very visible Islamic attire like myself. Majority were women and children.
Fausia Mousse is an outreach worker in Lewiston, a major resettlement city for refugees.
Rumor has it that one family came, liked it because Maine is small, very family-oriented, and in the last 5 years, we're seeing Central and West African. So today, in the Lewiston School Department, we have 35 languages that are spoken.
Mousse feels her community still faces racism.
It used to be very explicit, go home, don't, while you're here, you're taking away our jobs. It's not as explicit as it used to be, but there is a lot of systematic, implicit biases towards immigrants.
New Mainers play a major role in Maine's economy, primarily in manufacturing and other essential jobs. Their impact can be seen in places like the American Roots factory, where 80% of the workforce is immigrant. It's a project of husband and wife team Ben and Whitney Waxman to make clothing in America.
We did not know who was going to walk through our doors when we started this. And it just so happened that it was folks from Iraq, from Angola, from Congo.
Maria Lutina was an early recruit after she arrived from Angola and is now a head stitcher.
When I meet Whitney and Ben, they bring me at school, they start to teach me. When I finish my training, I meet my team, they were Arabic people, and then we start to share ideas.
I think Maine needs us. This is the aging state, and they are getting migrants who are very young, who actually will take over the workforce.
But despite this optimism, Black new Mainers still suffer a poverty rate triple that of other Mainers, which puts them at the front line of the pandemic.
The number one problem is the housing. You have families with 10, 11 children, and so there's no proper quarantine space. And so it becomes automatically one family will turn into a statistic of 15. You have people who are in a very congested neighborhood. Everybody is touching and cross-contaminated with one hallway and one door.
Even those who were afraid of going to work because of COVID stayed at home for a week or two. When they didn't see a paycheck, they had to go back.
Claude Regange's own family was not immune.
He got hit hard.
In late June, COVID-19 swept through the household of his niece Chantal Mukanyana, her husband Jean-Paul, and their 2-year-old son. Jean-Paul is a healthcare worker for adults with mental disabilities. He asked to stay home because Chantal was about to give birth to their second child.
There was like, no, there's other people who's working. You're just gonna have to protect yourself. So we had to pretty much suck it up so we can survive.
Chantal delivered baby Cheryl by C-section, just as Jean-Paul tested positive, infected by one of his clients. He had to go quarantine away from his family.
But it was already too late. We all got the virus.
Chantal was fighting a fever while fearing for her newborn.
I was told by the doctor when she tested positive that I need to 24 hours watch her breathing. Because if she kicks in her small lungs, she's gonna stop breathing. But she fight it. I have a 2-month-old today that survived COVID. It's crazy.
The family is now on the mend, and Jean-Paul is back at work. The pandemic also hit the American Roots factory hard, starting with a drop in orders that would lay off 80% of their staff. The Waxmans called an emergency meeting to see if workers were willing to shift to making PPE.
Every single hand went up. And within 14 days, we had brought everybody back and had shipped the first 10,000 face shields to Boston.
They began cranking out 7,000 masks a day, using the fabric once meant for T-shirts. They also instituted safety measures, including sanitizers, hand washing stations, and socially distancing the workers.
We had a crew come in and hang all of these plastic sheeting throughout the factory. And what this allows is for us to use this space and still have up to 60 people within this factory working.
But despite these measures, the virus still caught up to them.
The phone rang to Whitney, and she came and grabbed me and said, "We've got a positive case." On Saturday, July 11th, we had our second positive case. On Sunday, July 12th, we had our third.
So we had 11 positive cases that immediately went into quarantine. And we had 10 additional people who went into quarantine due to contact with the positive cases.
With rapid testing help from the state, the remaining 93 employees stayed healthy, and after a shutdown for cleaning, the factory has reopened. All of the infected workers have returned to making PPE.
150 in here, these are standard.
City Councilman Claude Ragange distributes American Roots masks to local businesses and his own church. He says his community's early battle against COVID-19 was something they had to fight mostly alone, as state funding was first funneled through non-immigrant umbrella groups.
They gave money to social services agencies, and that really made us unhappy because we said this is actually a racial and lack of trust issue. What we wanted is recognition that we know better the community that we serve more than anybody else. We have the culture, we have the language. It came after maybe 15 weeks for us actually asking these things.
Maine health officials say they chose social services agencies as the fastest avenue to get funding out the door and into affected communities. But in mid-July acknowledged concerns about adequacy and inclusiveness. On July 30, Governor Janet Mills announced $1 million in new funding, specifically for community-led organizations, to help reduce the disproportionately large racial and ethnic disparities in COVID-19 in Maine. In Lewiston, local groups didn't wait for help from the state and created their own task force early on to serve their community, including handing out masks to local businesses to share with customers, and organizing for a one-day walk-in testing clinic run by a health center in the heart of the city's immigrant neighborhood. On a sweltering day in late July, 64 people came to get tested, including Abdurabi and his 3-year-old son. They also got precious hand sanitizer and masks.
I have seen while I was passing here. I want to know my health. If I told that you are not positive, it's good. I will be happy.
Task Force co-leader Abdul Karim Saeed says they are making up for lost time.
Sometimes on June, when a lot of people are sick in the community, a lot of people are hospitalized, people were ready to be tested at that time, but the state was not ready to bring the site on for testing, so we missed that opportunity.
Each side of your nose.
And we have to convince again, explain, educate the community about the testing.
The results from the clinic brought much needed good news to the Lewiston community. 0 positive tests. But statewide, Black Mainers still have an infection rate 11 times higher than all other Mainers. Schools are reopening, but Saeed hopes that with state funding finally expected in coming weeks, they will be ready.
NewsHour will have live coverage of the Democratic National Convention this week. The first ever virtual convention begins tomorrow and ends Thursday with former Vice President Joe Biden's nomination and acceptance speech. Coverage on air and online will be from 8 p.m. until 11 p.m. Eastern Time. That's all for this edition of PBS NewsHour Weekend. For the latest news updates, visit pbs.org/newshour. I'm Hari Srinivasan. Thanks for watching. Stay healthy and have a good night.
PBS NewsHour Weekend is made possible by Sue and Edgar Wachenheim III, the Anderson Family Fund, Bernard and Denise Schwartz, the Cheryl and Philip Milstein family, the JPB Foundation, Barbara Hope Zuckerberg, Charles Rosenblum. We try to live in the moment to not miss what's right in front of us. At Mutual of America, we believe taking care of tomorrow can help you make the most of today. Mutual of America Financial Group, Retirement Services and Investments. Additional support has been provided by Consumer Cellular and by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people. And by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.